What's up, everybody? My name is Jason, and welcome to Small Biz. It is Thursday, March the 30th, 2023. And in today's Glass Half Full video, we're going to talk about how the Fed is quietly injecting trillions of dollars into the stock market, causing some of the biggest bears like Morgan Stanley to capitulate. Is it really true that my best friend or my new bestie is actually Sal, the CEO over at HellBiz? And are we about to have a joint podcast? And what's actually make it 4 stocks you might want to buy before this bear market officially comes to an end? All that and more coming right up. It was a little early on the draw. We don't edit around here, so if you're new, welcome. I've been creating content now for several years, started off over on LinkedIn, almost 8 million views here on YouTube, closing in on 76,000 strong. I want to say thank you to hundreds of new subscribers who are apparently interested in what I have to say, namely in respect to small business and the stock market. Because as many of you know, post EIDL, which ended almost a year ago in May, it was like a nuclear winter. It was like I was down to 200 or 300 views a day. Nobody cared. We lost 158 and counting premium members. More on that in a second over at trysmallbiz.com. And then suddenly, my dear friend, Paulie the Magician, check your mailbox, and John, who came here to hook me up about a month or a month and a half ago. He does home entertainment centers, by the way. John, we're going to talk about him more later. And boom. We've tripled our views. So if you're following me here, I appreciate your support. Get a premium membership at Try Small Biz, and you got to lock in on Twitter at Try Small Biz. And for all you that are super busy, I pin all the trades at the top of the profile now. Green circle means buy, a red circle means sell and or hold. And I'm going to talk about 4 stocks that you might want to consider dipping your toe into if you're not up to your eyeballs already like yours truly. But let me quickly start off by the Fed. You may have noticed that before I came on to air, and we're just after 2:30 in the East Coast, north of Atlanta, right? They're raiding the Tennessee Capitol building. The snowflakes have showed up. I won't name the names because they already shadow banned me enough, but neither one of those motherfuckers could fight their way out of a single paper bag. A wet one at that, too. It's a bunch of beta males and God knows what else is mixed in with the crowd there that's overrun the Capitol building. So we've got everything you could possibly imagine, including shit hitting the fan. So you might ask yourself, how in the world are we actually closing in on the upper end of the range that the S&P 500 has been stuck in for months? 3,800 on the down low, which I've called multiple times, 4,200 or thereabouts on the upside. Answer: Jerome Powell and the Federal Reserve. They have publicly admitted to almost $600 billion of stimulus, and I personally think it's going into the trillions before this bear market ends on or before Memorial Day weekend. And they have since figured out that for every $100 billion that the Fed injects into the banking system, it equals 1% in the S&P 500. So you've had mega bears, and there's tons of them out there, like Morgan Stanley, who was calling for 3,000 on the downside in the S&P. We're talking about over 1,000 points down. And to say that you've seen me that's all, folks. You've seen me hem and haw, stem and stutter, right? This guy was on CNBC last night, and he did a better Porky Pig impression than I did. Basically said, well, we're probably going to have to raise our worst case scenario to somewhere in and around the December, October lows, which, to keep it easy or simple stupid, is 3,500 on the S&P. So if we somehow get a black swan event or even more goes wrong than it already is right now, you're talking about 10 or 12% to the downside. However, because it is an election year, and believe it or not, there's actually people in this country who want to save a guy named Joe Biden, mortal enemy of a guy named Corn Pop, skimmer of 10%, sniffer of young children's hair, whose ratings are at an all-time low, along with CNN. Can you believe it? Fake news CNN down 69%. Don't tell me they don't want the Trumpster back. Last trade on TRKA, I'll talk about that in a second, at 25.5, probably going a little bit higher. But did I get in? You're going to have to stick around and find out. But before I dive into my relationship now with HellBiz, did I buy some more? And if so, at what price? Are we and when going to do a podcast with Sal, who is the CEO? And you may have seen the video I shared of him when they came public a couple of years ago, and I'm talking about HLBZ as a $10 SPAC. Well, it shot to over 25, and it's now trading, last trade at 11.68, less than 1 penny off an all-time low. And if you're following me on Twitter, I just said to Sal, we cannot afford to break a triple bottom at 11, because if we do, it's going to be a major bearish signal for all the bots and the technical traders. Well, a few minutes later, he responded back with a cryptic, I'm in, whatever that means, Sal. And by the way, have you guys noticed, not only does this guy engage, but he's walking the line. I walk the line. He's walking the line between what you should or shouldn't say. All you got to do, if you're reading between the lines like I am, ladies and gentlemen, and watching BRDS and in particular MULN trading in lockstep right now with HellBiz, consolidation in the mobile mobility space is coming. And if you didn't watch last night's video, you should. And if I had to guess, something's going on with Mullen at a minimum and or BRDS, including in a joint deal. So I'm all over the map. But the fact that Mullen was down at 9 and change, all-time low, and on no real news other than some fancy schmancy lawsuit, it started to melt up 10, 10.5, 11. And it's up like, what, 30%, or it was before the sell program hit about an hour ago, from where it was just a week ago. And we're literally, as I pull up my Quotron right now, and you might notice, by the way, I'm a big fan of Yahoo Finance. I got started as a stockbroker in 1992. I spent almost 15 years in the business until I got wiped out in 2008. And if you saw the movie The Big Short, I was actually right. I saw the housing crash. Strippers with no credit getting 4 or 5 houses. I lived in Florida. I was driving around saying this is gonna be bad. But my problem was, and I'll cover it at length in another detail, I was buying NASDAQ QQQ puts in 2006. Well, it didn't really fall apart until 2007. So there was a run on the bank. I fled from South Florida. Oh my God, the stories I can tell. Here to Georgia. I've since been through multiple houses. I'm coming back strong. By the way, shout out to my friends in London who will know what this soccer jersey is all about. But in terms of where I need to bring my attention back to, it's HLBZ followed by TRKA and, as your bonus tip of the day, 2 other stocks you might want to own. All right. I'm not going to go on and on about this, but I do appreciate Sal, who's the CEO at HellBiz. Again, it was a $10 SPAC, went to almost $30 a share. I got all over it again. I have a massive position. And as I've told you guys repeatedly, and gals, don't go over 10% into one idea unless you're prepared to deal with the, let's call it extensive amount of risk. So yeah, I do have positions that are crowding 15%, but I'm prepared and used to 20, 30, even 35, and in some cases 40% drawdowns, because I've been doing this for 30 years, which is longer than most of you have even been in the stock market, or at least a vicious bear market. So I am comfortable rolling with the punches. But I am convinced that not only are we going to see consolidation, whether it's Mullen, BRDS, some are saying maybe Lyft and or Uber. Let me tell you something right now. If they sign a deal, HLBZ, with Uber in particular or Lyft, you think TRKA made a move from 19 and change where it was flat on its back and all you fucking snowflakes that are watching me were crying in your bill, why'd you get me into this? And takeover rumors shot to 33. I put multiple tweets out today. I'm interested at 2369 to be exact. I'm a fan of 369. Tesla, Nikola Tesla, I hear you, Ma. I'm a fan of 369. but it didn't get there. TRKA, low of the day, 2415. If I had to guess, it's going to bounce somewhere to 27 and change. High in the day was 31.5, but the run is done, at least for now. And until TRKA, just to keep it simple, stupid, gets down into the 2369 area, I'm not interested. But I am very interested in Hellbiz. I'm convinced we're 24 to 72 hours away from major news. It's probably involving Mullen and or BRDS. And if they package it right, like I said yesterday, Sal, and yeah, we are going to do a podcast, ladies and gentlemen. And by the way, maybe instead of wearing, what is this, a Chelsea jersey, I should be wearing a Miami FC, is it, Sal, jersey? Huh? I mean, come on. I do have a P.O. box at trysmallbiz.com. So if you want our continued support and jumping on a podcast, you might want to consider that. So look, here's the deal. I have a massive position on HLBZ, and Sal should know I am not married to the stock. I am a trader, but I can bring massive buying power with 160,000 strong, 11K plus and counting on Twitter to the party. So if he packages it right, and they convince everybody that even if we have to do a reverse, whether it's now, next week, or when they get an extension, because they are eligible as far as I'm concerned, 6 months from now, they've got millions of dollars in buying power. And some of you got a kick out of the Sicilian mafia story. By the way, watch the video that I shared of Sal, very handsome guy, and you get a bit of the gangster vibe there. So I'm certain he knows some people, probably overseas, that could throw a few $1 million into the idea to make sure that what happens, that we don't lose our ass. We're all in this at or near an all-time low. If anybody's making fucking money, ladies and gentlemen, aren't you supposed to be using the buttons over there? Ladies and gentlemen, it's going to be us. In closing, I already addressed TRKA. What else should you own? I just put out a tweet about 15 minutes ago. XELA, last trade 0379. It's been as high as close to 4. If the stock, which is currently a red, which means a hold, on Twitter, gets up and over 4 on volume preferably. It used to trade a billion shares a day. It's almost, you can't even get that amount out of your mouth. That's all, folks, out of your mouth. But it's way down. It's a quarter of that. But it's showing what? Signs of life. I think the low was 0.33. So what are we up? Third grade math, close to 20% in 2 days. If it gets up and over 4 cents and you don't have a full 10% or thereabouts position, I'm going to christen the buy. Right now, as I just said, 0.381. So wait on XELA if it's me until it prints 4 cents. If you're new, my goodness, what an entry, because I'm in the mid to high 6 cent range. I also average down in 2 biotechs that have phase 1 study information or news releases that should be out in the next 2 weeks. That's ENSC. I bought more at 57. My average is 62. And PBLA, I bought more at 44. It's 42 and change. 1% entry in terms of my cash position, which currently sits at 7 or 8%. I wanted to get my PBLA average down. I know it's not showing much sign of light, but it is 10% off an all-time low. And ENSC is much more than that off its all-time low. So I'm getting in front of phase 1 news. On ENSC, it's an alternative, a healthier alternative, if you will, to the opioid crisis in terms of drugs and or delivery. And then PBLA, which has been around since 2010, split adjusted down from 87. Can you believe it? In 1 year, 87, 77, 67, all the way to 43 cents. Are you shitting me? Yes, it's true. And there was an offering at 2.25 about 2 months ago. So Mayday, whoever paid 2.25 for PBLA, my average is just under $1 at 98 cents. So if it's me, given that I am of the opinion that this bear market, which has tortured us for the last 15 months or thereabouts, is going to come to an end with the help of the Fed that's going to inject trillions of dollars, 1% to the upside for every 100 billion that comes to the party, then yes, we're starting to climb out of a hole and we may just be making money hand over fucking fist by the time we're laying by the pool, drinking a whiskey on a big rock come Memorial Day. So until next time, ladies and gentlemen, hey, always remember that I love you guys and I really appreciate you watching.